What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be talking about The Legend of Ochi. I got to see this movie at a special screening through A24 and a partnership with the Arkansas Cinema Society, so thank you so much to both of those for allowing us to see this movie early. And let's get into The Legend of Ochi. So before we watched the movie, we did get to see a special message from the director, which I've seen a lot more articles float around. Looks like he worked on this movie, I think it was like 6 to 8 years to get this movie made and off the ground, which is like insane. It's always crazy to think about the time it takes to like just make a movie, not so much making the movie, but at least getting that movie distributed so people can see it. Because this is a movie that is really meant for the kids, and he makes note of that. Like, he made this movie for kids, but really for families. And then he made a comment, you know, like to the kids in the audience of like, you know, you're smarter than your parents. And I think that was kind of like a nod to the story that you get into with this movie. But let's just dive into The Legend of Ochi, because this is such a fascinating movie, especially from A24. I don't know if this is the first family-friendly A24 movie or like one of the very few, but it definitely leans into that. So we are set in a village in Carpathia where we have these creatures called Ochis. And this kind of leans into like a classic lore that these creatures called Ochis would come in and terrorize people, or they would kill like all the animals, because this island is very like farm driven. So you get a lot of like, you know, like raising flocks of sheep, and like the lore kind of said like the Ochi would come down and like eat the sheep and things like that. And so now you have the people of this island that are trying to find them and essentially kill them. And we get into this situation where we see the Ochi. One is a parent, has a little one, that little one gets lost, and one of our main characters, at least the main female character, finds it, sets on a journey to bring it home. So, I mean, let's just get into it. This sounds so much like a movie such as like E.T. or any of these other kind of movies that I had watched growing up, where you have a person that finds, you know, whether it be like an alien like E.T. or some animals or something, and their goal is to get them back to their families. This is a very family focused movie of being a part of a family, even goes into, I would say, abandonment, because our main character is primarily with her father, who has taken over the role of watching all of these boys and essentially turning them into soldiers to go capture or kill these Ochis. And the father figure is played by Willem Dafoe, who, of course, you know, he's a standout. I mean, he eats up the camera time every chance he can get, especially on this movie. Like, he is such a character and very out there, and definitely does some things that are funny. But we do spend more time with Yuri, as she is with an Ochi and trying to get the Ochi back to this family. When it comes to the puppetry and the effects and the color grading, like, it is top tier. It is so good. Like, it's hard for me to wrap around like how they did any of this. That's how well done it is. And there's definitely so many standstill moments that, you know, are meant for like press releases, or like I could even envision as like screenshot this and it becomes like my desktop wallpaper. Like, it's that level of good. But what hurts this movie is the lack of story. There's not too much story here. I mean, essentially what I said about, you know, person finds this creature Ochi and needs to get him back home, like, that is really it. And there's a lot of quiet time in this movie. Moving from point A to point B happens at a pretty quick pace. And then you have sprinkled in here the conflicts with the parents of like finding my mother, and, you know, why did you and dad split up, and going through that. And then some very like thrown in humor location shots. There's a grocery store scene, which is kind of funny, but I'm more fascinated with just the setup of the grocery store, honestly, and curious like where the idea for this came from, because it feels almost like I'm watching an anime at sometimes. And maybe the director drew inspiration from various animes, I don't know. But this movie, like, it was hard for me to get fully entertained because I didn't find it that funny, and I thought the story and the pacing were pretty off, but in the sense of like being a family-friendly film, it definitely fits that mark. I think there was probably like one moment where a kid yells out a curse word that I was like, we didn't really need that. But also I would think like for kids, you need to probably be closer to like the preteen age to probably understand this movie and appreciate it. Younger ages may just enjoy these little creatures and the puppetry, because you do get quite a bit of that in end-to-end runtime. But all in all, I'm very split on this movie. I think, you know, it's just an okay watch. I struggle to recommend like going to see this in theater versus just waiting for this to hit streaming, even though like the movie is so gorgeous. Like seeing it on a big screen is really worth it for that experience, but the lack of story just really dampens this movie, which really sucks. I hate that because A24 usually puts out a lot of solid stuff, but this one just definitely was not one of my favorites, unfortunately. So The Legend of Ochi should be out in theaters now. If you saw it, let me know, what did you think? Did you go with your family, or are you just a fan of A24? Are you familiar with like this director or the story around this? Because it seems to be like a pretty hot topic. I've been seeing it pop up a lot lately on social media. But yeah, just curious if you are a fan of this. Let's chat about it in the comments below. Thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out this channel so much. I'll be back again later with more reviews. We'll see you soon.